welcome back to my cozy corner of the internet. I'm Mayastar, and this is the Mayastar Podcast. I teach energy healing courses online through Mayastar Academy, share spiritual guidance and mystical musings on the Maya Muses blog, and provide healing, ritual, and spellcasting services. As a star-seeded shaman and professional witch, on the Mayastar Podcast, I release articles, discussions, and energy updates every week, covering energy healing, spiritual awakening, lightworkers, starseeds, magic, and New Age spirituality. This episode is being re-released with upgraded audio and new cover art to coincide with the launch of the new Mayastar Podcast YouTube channel. Please check it out and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of the new content coming soon. And welcome back to my cozy corner of the internet. I'm Mayastar, and today we have another unscripted video where we'll be discussing energy healing, meditation, spiritual awakening, and, specific to this episode, the ancient Norse runes and how they can be used to progress your spiritual path and your healing journey through different methods. There are many ways you can use the runes, and because they're so versatile, there's no way I can cover everything in this video, so I'm just going to be covering some of the main points and then answering a few questions that are related. So if that sounds interesting, stick around and meander with me as we take the scenic route towards enlightenment. As always, I come armed with notes, but we'll be skirting around things and we'll see what comes up. I try to keep it quite fluid and conversational for these videos. Now, regular viewers will notice there's something new going on behind me with the scarf situation. I got a new scarf, a bigger one. I think that might be the problem. The scarves that I was trying to use weren't quite big enough, whereas this one, it seems to be doing the job. Although I did have to mess around with the lighting a bit more to get things just right. Hopefully that will save me a bit of time in the future. Because of the nature of the work I do magically for clients through Maya Magical, which is my second website and which you can find in the links in the description below, where I provide spell casting services, ritual intensives for clearing negative energy or drawing in abundance and prosperous energy, and other intensives that are available from time to time for special offers, such as the recent working that was harnessing the power of the summer solstice combined with the full moon. That was an intensive manifesting and drawing in positive energy. But when I'm putting out some of these intensives, they tend to be very much centered around Norse energy, because that's what I work with predominantly in my own practice. That and Lemurian energy. I don't know how those two match up, but those are the energies that I work with predominantly at the moment. So I do often get questions from people asking me if I can teach them the runes. And although I don't have a detailed course for how to learn runes for divination, because that's what people are usually referring to when they ask about the runes, The Rune Valder course, which is an energy attunement based course, is the one that I would recommend if that's what you want to learn. If you're looking to work with the runes with a view to using them for divination, you can do that just by learning the meanings. Like if you just, well, you might as well look them up online if that's all you wanted to learn. But if you wanted to learn them with more experience of those energies, being able to integrate those energies and feel those vibrations more intensely when you're working with them, the attunements are the way that you go about that. That's the purpose of an attunement. And the Rune Valder course connects you with the energies of all of the runes, and it also includes some powerful symbols that can be used in a ritual context as well, like for protection and that kind of thing. But included with that course is an extra course manual that I put together that has some correspondences for each of the runes individually, so that you can learn a bit more about them while you're being attuned to them, and you can develop your relationship with them by exploring the other symbols that can be reflected in the runes. So that's an important part of that course, and that's what makes it so useful for those who want to work with the runes for divination, but also if you want to work with them magically or as part of your energy healing practice. And for those that want to go further into the runes, I do offer ritual-based empowerments to each of the runes through the Yggdrasil intensive, which you can find on the Maya Magical website. And that intensive includes daily energy transmissions that are sent using the Orb of Life method, which allows you to call them into you when it's convenient. And I recommend doing that part of it at night before you go to bed, so that while you sleep you can naturally integrate those energies and fully assimilate those new frequencies. You might also, if you're taking the magical intensive, because it's over a period of 24 days, one for each of the runes of course, it can allow you to form a routine, a ritual of your own as you go through the process. And some people find that extremely powerful, and I've even had people want to immediately repeat the process after completing the Yggdrasil intensive, because they wanted to continue with that routine of receiving the energies, because they found it a very healing ritual for themselves. So that's also something that you can do, is select that magical intensive as a healing intensive, because although it's intended for empowerment and personal initiation, it's perfectly suitable for healing transmissions. So if you wanted to purchase a healing intensive where the runic energies are sent to you each day with a focus on healing and balancing your energy, then the Yggdrasil intensive is excellent for that. But you would need to let me know before I start the rituals, because that's a slightly different focus for the work. Sorry, I went a bit off topic there talking about the Yggdrasil intensive when I meant to keep talking about the Rune Valder course, because the Rune Valder course is the one that I'm going to be putting on the special offer this week. So if you're interested in purchasing it, you can currently purchase it for the special offer price through the Mayastar website. And if you're a newsletter subscriber, in a few hours' time, you will receive the link to that. And if you're not a newsletter subscriber, you may want to subscribe now so that you receive a link to that special offer too. And to do that, to receive the special offer, just just go to the Mayastar website and choose the option to subscribe to the newsletter. It's not too complicated. It doesn't cost anything. Okay, so that's the special offer for this week. And as always, to accompany this course, I will be making a meditation. Well, I've already started. At the time I'm recording this, I've started it. I haven't finished it, but I'm interested to see how this one comes out, because it's got a much more shamanic feel to it, a heavier vibe, deeper rather than heavier, I would say. But today, after I've completed this video, I will be recording the vocals for that. So it's going to be a runic invocation song, and that's another way that the runes can be used. A traditional method of activating the different energies is to use the runes in a song or a chant. And if you regularly listen to my meditations, you'll probably have heard some of those rune songs that I've written for different purposes, for different meditations, like the Solar Goddess Radiance and the Solstice Love meditations. Both included rune songs. And there is I can't remember how long ago it was, but there is a 20-minute meditation for invoking the ancient Norse runes, already available on this channel and podcast. So this new one is going to be incorporating some of my new instruments, and I have some interesting instruments. I put together a thunder track using a thunder drum. I have 3 thunder drums actually, but I put it together. Really, I was just doing some tests to see how it sounded, what sort of sounds could I come up with by recording it and then messing with it to see what happened. And it came out really good, and it really changed the dynamic of that track. So this week just gone, I've completed the Mary Magdalene's Inner Temple Empowerment track, and that one definitely lent itself to a sort of deeper, darker vibe. So I tried out the thunder track on there, and it worked really well. And so that one's going to be coming out, I think it's on the 12th. Yeah, I think it's on the 12th of July that one will have come out. And then I may start, if people enjoy the thunder ones, please let me know, because I will start incorporating that in. What I usually do is I record the music, and then I add the vocal, and then I do different variations using an ocean drum and rain sticks. Oh, rain sticks, what a brilliant invention they are. And now the thunder drums, and it just changes the vibe, really changes the vibe. I don't know if it would work for other people, but I find the heavier, darker, thundery noise very soothing for sleep. It actually, rather than sounding like thunder to me, gives me an underwater kind of vibe. But I'd recommend trying those out, see what works best for you. And the other thing that I think might make the thunder ones more interesting is the fact that it increases the range of the music. So you have sort of bassier tones and higher tones. It just sounds fuller. That's not always what you want for a meditation, but some people would gravitate more to that sort of sound. So I guess we'll see how it goes. I like all of them. I wouldn't make them if I didn't enjoy them myself, but I'm going to be listening to the thundery versions more often, I think, and just see how that energy, it has a sort of grounding vibe to it as well. Reminds me a bit of black tourmaline, my favourite crystal. Okay, so we've covered the current special offer. we've covered the related magical workings, so let's get to the questions. We've already covered one question though. I jumped ahead, that's why I think I went off on the tangent. One of the questions was for the Yggdrasil intensive, was somebody asking if it would be suitable as a healing intensive, so that was one of the questions already covered. And the second question is, can I use the runes in energy healing by using the names rather than visualizing them? It's another, you'll notice this sort of question, variations on this question come up a lot because people struggle a bit at first with visualization. What I would say in this regard though is that the runes are very easy to visualize because they are very simple symbols compared to other symbols such as those used in Usui Reiki, because the runes are made up of straight lines with the intention that you could easily carve them into things, but it does mean they're very easy to visualize. They're very simple to draw as well. But yes, you can use the names as an alternative to visualizing them, depending on how you want to work with them. And usually when you visualize the runes, you would visualize them as red, because that's a colour of life, the colour of blood. And so visualizing the runes in that colour is a recognition that they have life force energy behind them. The runes are sort of living representations of different aspects of the universal light energy, which we can also call the universal life force or chi. And each one of them is reflected within every person. They are archetypal, and so they have deeper meanings beyond the correspondences and what you would find usually in books if you're reading about runes for divination. I really think that the only way to learn the runes, even if you think you only need to know basic meanings, is to actually connect with those energies. Now, I must admit I am probably a little bit biased because of what I do for a living. I teach energy healing, so I really feel that people connecting with those energies in a personal way is more powerful than learning about it in an intellectual sense where it's not so integrated into your energy field, into your psyche. Whereas in a way, but regularly working with the energy of the runes through energy healing modalities or the Yggdrasil intensive can be a way to awaken those archetypes so that you're not just analysing it, you're experiencing it, and you can learn to differentiate between those different currents over time. These things do take time, and if you work with the runes regularly, you will find that layers of meaning get built up over time, so that 5 years after you started, you might have radically different interpretations of some of the runes compared to those that you started out with. But that's the way it's supposed to be. It's a journey. It should be constantly evolving. And when I'm teaching and providing attunement or empowerment rituals, that's intended to be a starting point. It's not that, oh, here you go, here's your attunement, now you know everything there is to know about the runes, go and do some magic. It's not like that. You do still have to work with the energy. You do still have to express it. Nobody else can do that part of the work for you. I'm just setting you off in the right direction and providing you with some support while you do it. But yes, you can definitely use the runes without visualizing them. I still would recommend that you do some work where you visualize them as well. When you visualize the runes, they tend to appear more often in your dreams, and also when you need particular runes, you're more able to connect with them instantly, like it becomes automatic. As you become aware of the different energy frequencies, you're able to visualize the rune and bring that energy in very quickly, which is something that I've done for protection in the past and that sort of thing, where in an emergency situation you're able to bring that protective energy in very quickly and without having to chant the runes, which, you know, you might want to, but in certain circumstances that may not be convenient. For example, if you were at work or something like that, are you going to start chanting the runes, or would it be more appropriate and a bit more discreet if you were to visualize them instead? It just adds another way for you to work with the energy, to connect with it at times in one way and at other times in another way, depending on what works for that situation. But it makes them more versatile if you use them in a variety of ways. So visualization, writing them down, chanting the name of the rune, or creating a shrine where you place symbols that reflect that rune or mean something to you that reminds you of what that rune represents in your own life. I can't think of a good example off the top of my head. Okay, let's go with the first rune. Fehu means cattle. So if you were setting up a shrine for the Fehu rune, perhaps you wanted to bring more prosperity in your life. So you thought it would be a good idea to bring this energy into your home. You might have something to represent a cow, a picture of a cow, reminding you that, you know, wealth can be measured in various ways. You might have an image of the goddess Freya, or perhaps some flowers to represent the goddess Freya, if perhaps that's something that speaks to you and something that you would enjoy on the altar. You might choose crystals, and you might place money on there, and you might be picky about the colours and think, well, this is about prosperity, I think I would go for gold and yellow, and perhaps even have something to represent the sun because I'm going for that golden energy. And perhaps while I'm sitting in front of my altar, I'll listen to this particular meditation to bring in that energy, and you build upon it with the things that mean something to you. So in the course manual where I discuss the different correspondences, that's to get you started, but over time you will develop your own associations with different runes and your own symbols that are connected with different runes. So that's a thing that you can consider when you're deciding whether you want to learn to visualize them or not. Is this something that would fit into your practice? Like if you want to spend time in front of your rune altar every day, would that be a good time to just spend 5 minutes trying to visualize the rune? Do you have time for that? Is it worth choosing to commit to that process, perhaps every day for a month, and see if there's any improvement, and then if there is, make it a longer term habit for practicing your visualization? I would say that the runes are a good way to learn visualization because they are so simple to draw. And like I say, I do feel that it's better to learn both. Learn the names chant them, use them as mantras, but visualize them at the same time if you can, because it makes for a more powerful experience. So using different areas of your brain as well, and if you visualize them, they are more likely to appear in dreams and visions for you, and that would make it easier for you to interpret them in the future if you were pursuing divination with the runes. So definitely do both if you can. And is it okay to buy myself a set of runes, or should they be received as a gift? And I've had people ask me the same thing about tarot, and I've heard that some people say you should never buy these tools for yourself, but I do. And I don't know anyone who sits around waiting for somebody else to buy things for them. So yeah, there is no problem with buying things for yourself, tools for your spiritual growth and developing your abilities. So yes, of course you can buy your own runes, but traditionally it's more powerful to make your own runes, and that doesn't have to be a complicated process. Usually runes are made of either stone or pieces of wood. So one of the cheapest ways that you could make your own set of runes would be to get some lolly sticks or small pieces of wood and draw the runes on them, or burn the runes into them, and use those to start with and see how you get along. Or just collect some pebbles from a beach and paint the runes onto those. Or if you wanted to use these runes as part of your energy healing practice, it might be nice to buy crystal runes, or make some crystal runes by getting some tumble stones and then painting the symbols onto those, because that would allow you to lay them out, the different energies that you wanted to work with during that session, in a similar way to the way you'd lay them out if you were using crystals during a crystal healing session. And also having something in your hand while you're meditating on each rune can be a good way of connecting the energy of that rune with your own representation of that rune. So during the Yggdrasil intensive, sometimes people choose to do that, create a rune stone each day for the period of the intensive, and hold it during the energy transmission each night to charge it with the energy for that particular rune. So that's something that you can do. And as I say, you could really make your rune set out of anything. You could literally just draw them on pieces of paper and use pieces of paper to start with. If you enjoy creating art, that might be a good way to integrate those energies as well, allowing you to meditate on them while engaging your conscious mind in creating art. Can be a powerful meditation technique. So yeah, that's certainly something you could do as well. I really think the runes are very versatile as a tool. People use them for magic, for meditation, as a magical alphabet for if you're creating talismans and that sort of thing, as well as for divination. So I feel like they are so versatile that if you feel drawn to them, it's something that you can keep coming back to. It's knowledge that you can build upon over time until it becomes an essential part of your practice. It also provides a sort of structure, an energetic structure that you can pin other things onto. This is not so easy to explain, but the runes will accumulate layers of meaning the longer you work with them. They will become increasingly comprehensive and real to you over time. So it's something that you can use to touch base and integrate new information. If you work with them often enough and regularly enough, then you can keep returning to the runes when you're processing something new. Like when you've just learnt something new, going back to the runes can then help you to integrate that information. And the same goes for other systems, the Kabbalah or the Tarot. If like those structured systems of correspondences can help you to catalogue your experiences and understand the runes on a deeper level over time. And for the last question, it's actually a very old question that was asked by one of my magical clients who was receiving a series of empowerment rituals to work with Odin because they were so drawn to the runes. But initially they were a bit concerned because they didn't want to insult the gods, and they didn't actually have any connection to Northern Europe. They were from South America, and they weren't sure if it was going to be for them, because although they felt drawn to the runes, they felt that it wasn't part of their heritage. And although they flourished, they absolutely flourished. They took to the runes like a duck to water. But the reason is, the runes are universal. The way that they are tied to the myths and the traditions of the ancient Norse pagans of Northern Europe is how they come to us, because that's how the history was recorded. But the symbols are universal, and the energies of the rune are universal, and they are reflected in other traditions but in different forms. But those energies are for everybody. It's not only for people who live in Europe or have European ancestry or anything like that. Absolutely anybody can work with the runes. And if you feel drawn to connect with the deities of the ancient Norse tradition, they are also universal and will be represented in your own mythologies as well. So it doesn't make any difference if you approach those deities through your local customs or through what might seem alien rituals at first that derive from a different culture. Over time, either way, you're working with these rituals to make them your own. And so it doesn't really matter how you start, and it doesn't really matter how those energies are represented in the system that you're learning. Those energies are universal, and anybody can. It doesn't make any difference, and the gods aren't precious about these things. Your energetic inheritance is what counts here, and we all come from the same place. We're all moving towards the same kind of destiny. We're all evolving in similar ways, and perhaps we use different myths, different stories, different tools, different symbols, but we're doing the same thing. So you need to respond to the things that call to you, regardless of what you think is appropriate. Your soul knows. Follow what your soul is telling you, and you can't go very far wrong. And I think that brings us to the end of another unscripted discussion, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have any questions or anything that you'd like me to address in future videos, please leave them in the comments or email them to me, and I'll get to those. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share it with your friends, go and watch another video on this channel so the algorithm will think that I'm popular. So all that remains is for me to say thank you for stopping by today, and I hope you'll come back again next week for another unscripted video. But in the meantime, have a brilliant week, and I wish you peace, prosperity, and progress in all you do. With blessings.